Just before dawn in Vatican City, the key master makes his rounds. One man over 2,000 keys. He moves silently through the hushed corridors of the Vatican museums, unlocking more than 2,700 doors. But according to some, one key opens more than a room. It opens a secret. Tucked deep within the guarded vaults of Vatican City, past archives, relics, and layers of institutional secrecy, some believe there's something stranger than a locked gallery. A device. One that doesn't travel through time, but sees through it. A surveillance system for history. A screen for the past. Its name? The Chronovisor. This is Time Slipped, the podcast where time doesn't just pass, it occasionally leaves behind evidence. I'm your host, Nikki Rich, and today we're opening one of the Vatican's most persistent modern legends. A device said to reveal the past, built by priests and physicists, and buried by silence. Let's begin. A monk, a physicist, and an exorcist walk into a lab. And instead of starting a bad joke, they built a machine to watch the past. His name was Father Pellegrino Ernetti. Yes, he was a Benedictine monk, but let's not typecast the man in sandals. He was also a physicist, a musicologist, a scholar of archaic languages, and allegedly an exorcist. Born in 1925, Ernetti was one of those rare minds equally at home chanting in Latin or mapping out harmonic frequencies and acoustic wave behaviors. He spent years studying the physics of sound, especially Gregorian chants, convinced that spiritual resonance could influence both soul and substance. Basically, if God was speaking, Ernetti was trying to tune in. By the early 1960s, he claimed he had joined a secret project, one with 12 other scientists and clergy, a sort of theological Manhattan Project. Among the rumored members, Enrico Fermi, the father of nuclear physics, and Wernher von Braun, ex-Nazi engineer turned NASA golden boy. Together they built something extraordinary, a time-viewing machine. Now, don't picture a sleek Apple-style interface or something you'd see in a Bond film. Ernetti said the Chronovisor looked like an old console radio bred with a church organ and lost a fight with a hardware store. Wires, tubes, antennas, knobs. No touchscreen, no sleek UI. Just this janky analog contraption that supposedly allowed you to tune into history. Here's the alleged theory. Everything that happens emits energy, which we can also describe as waves. Light waves, sound waves, microwaves. You get it. And these waves don't just disappear into the ether. They disperse. They persist, like echoes across the universe. And think of it like this. When we look at the night sky, we're seeing ancient light. The light hitting your eyes left its star thousands of years ago. In other words, space is full of history in transit. And Ernetti believed time worked the same way. That moments in time left behind echoes, traveling faintly through space. If you could detect and decode those echoes, you could see the past. We're not talking paradoxes, no wormholes, just cosmic eavesdropping. The Chronovisor, he claimed, was built to do exactly that. It wasn't a time machine, it was an antenna, a decoder, a metaphysical DVR. According to Ernetti, once the machine was operational, history didn't just whisper, it performed. Cicero, addressing the Roman Senate, eloquent and furious. A bustling Pompeii marketplace, days before the Ash, and the final breaths of Marcus Aurelius, imperial, serene, and forgotten in real time. And then, the blockbuster moment. They tuned in to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Ernetti said they saw it clearly. A dusty hill, 3 crosses, a crowd restless with grief, the man in the center, bloodied, breathing, speaking in Aramaic. The Chronovisor, Ernetti claimed, even translated his words, displaying subtitles on a flickering screen. A strange fusion of ancient pain and 1960s tech. But in 1972, an Italian tabloid published a photo Ernetti claimed was pulled from the Chronovisor. But critics noticed it looked almost identical to a well-known sculpture of Christ by a Spanish artist. Busted? Maybe. Ernetti admitted the resemblance, but insisted the real footage had been seized. The photo, well, that was just a decoy, something to stir curiosity without revealing the Vatican's hand. Was it believable? I guess that would depend on your tolerance for theological espionage. But still, Ernetti didn't stop there. He said they witnessed more, with the Chronovisor acting like a live stream from antiquity. The Tower of Babel collapsing, the trial of Socrates, Napoleon pacing, giving speech after speech. And according to Ernetti, the images weren't filtered or symbolic. They were raw, real. Some were clear, some distorted, some even too overwhelming to watch in one sitting. The team, he said, often needed breaks, because when you stare into the past too long, it stares right back. The Chronovisor wasn't just about evidence. It was about control. You could erase doubt, confirm prophecy, undo centuries of interpretation, or more dangerously, edit history like a film reel, weaponize memory, show just enough to inspire, or incite, or erase. Ernetti believed that's why the Vatican buried it. Not because it didn't work, but because it did. The Chronovisor wasn't just about seeing the past. It was about controlling the narrative, weaponizing memory, turning history into ammunition. Ernetti believed the machine could destabilize everything: faith, nations, power. And that's why, he claims, the Vatican buried it. For decades, Ernetti stuck to his story. He gave interviews, explained the theory, defended the tech. Then, just after his death in 1994, an anonymous letter surfaced, allegedly from Ernetti himself. It said the crucifixion photo was a fake. The Roman play he claimed to reconstruct was fabricated, and the machine, it never existed. Case closed? Maybe not. The letter read like a final confession, but here's the thing. It didn't have a signature. There were no witnesses, no verification. Ernetti wrote it himself. Just a conveniently timed unraveling of everything he'd said, exactly when no one could ask questions. His friend, Father Francois Brune, a theologian and author, wasn't buying it. He called it a fabrication and believed the letter was planted, a silencing effort, a disinformation campaign, not by skeptics, but by the church itself. Because if the Chronovisor was real, it wasn't just a secret. It was a threat. Okay, time to talk plausibility. Let's bring in the science. Because while the Chronovisor sounds like speculative pulp fiction, some of its concepts aren't entirely nonsense. First up, electromagnetic echoes. Sound and light waves don't die. They decay, scatter, weaken, but they keep going. When we see starlight, we're seeing history. In theory, sound and light from ancient Earth could still be out there. The catch? They'd be absurdly faint. You need detectors sensitive enough to pick up a whisper from 2,000 years ago through layers of dirt, air, tectonic drift, and Wi-Fi pollution. So, not exactly iPhone compatible. Next, stone tape theory. This one's paranormal but relevant. Some ghost hunters claim emotions can imprint themselves on buildings, especially stone, like a recording on a magnetic tape. Under the right conditions, the energy replays. Footsteps, screams, apparitions. Is it science? Not exactly. Is it weirdly similar to Ernetti's idea? Yep, sure is. So, lastly, here are a few runner-ups. Paleoacoustics. Some theorize that sounds could imprint on pottery as it spun, the way vibrations make grooves on vinyl. It's unproven, but the visual is poetic. A pot that remembers a chant. Block universe theory. This is where theoretical physics steps in. The block universe model says time doesn't flow, it's all there. Past, present, future. One massive four-dimensional structure. You're not rewinding, you're just observing a different part of the block. And lastly, quantum residue. Some fringe theorists suggest remnants of past events might exist in quantum fields. Could we amplify them? Maybe. But don't hold your breath. So could the chronovisor really work? Technically, parts of it nod toward real concepts. But practically, no. To isolate, decode, and reconstruct full audiovisual experiences from scattered waves, you'd need tech that borders on supernatural. That's where we fall off the edge of plausibility and land in ancient alien technology territory, especially in the 1960s, with vacuum tubes and monks. Just for a moment, let's suspend disbelief. Let's say the chronovisor really existed, and it worked. What would you watch? Something historical like Lincoln at Gettysburg? Or would you choose something more personal, the last conversation you had with someone you miss? It's tempting, but here's the thing. Viewing the past could open a door you can't close. History becomes bingeable, editable, commodified, political. Belief systems could fracture, historical power structures could shift, governments could weaponize moments or erase them. We could verify miracles, decode prophecy, and validate half of human mythology with one viewing. And what happens then? The past, once sacred and slippery, once stories passed down over campfires and pews, well, it becomes content. And once everything is provable, nothing is sacred. Maybe that's what the Vatican feared. Not the machine, but its consequences. Because what would it make of us? After Ernetti's death, the chronovisor disappeared. The trail vanished. There were no schematics, no parts left over, no blueprints hidden in a monastery attic. Just one photo, a few interviews, and a silence so deep it felt rehearsed. Some say that proves it was a hoax. Others say that kind of silence, that's what a cover-up sounds like. Like a crime scene, scrubbed from history. After all, this is the Vatican. They've hidden bodies, suppressed books, banned ideas, and stored more secrets than Area 51's basement. Why not this? Because if the Chronovisor ever worked, even once, it wouldn't just show us the past. It would reshape the future. It would ask us, what do you do when the past is no longer up for debate? When time itself can be rewound, reviewed, and reinterpreted? Maybe that's why the Chronovisor had to disappear. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded, and because some doors should stay locked. Some things, even truths, are too dangerous to reveal. Some keys are meant to turn, while others, they're meant to stay buried. This is Time Slipped. See you in the next anomaly.